Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves a good comic book, Frank. How are you today?
I am doing just fine as can be under the circumstances.
Indeed. Of course, under the circumstances, Frank, because we are still inside, but in some ways, that is going to help us with our topic today, and that is truly a magical thing.
I think so.
But before we get to anything like that, Frank, what are you drinking? What are you putting in your gullet, Frank?
I have opened up my gullet, I have unhinged my jaw, and I am pouring down said gullet Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. It is an American IPA, and it is a very sort of floral IPA with a lot, well, not quite floral, fruity IPA with sort of a grapefruity flavor to it, and even a little bit of like pine, but a really strong malt presence there as well. So you get some of that fruity stuff from the hops, and the malt is really like sort of centering it all. So yeah, I like it a lot. Bell's Two-Hearted American IPA.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking a lager from the Skyroc brewery, which is called Geno. You know, like, hey, Grandpa Geno.
Oh yeah.
Hey. So this is hilarious. It's actually named after a particular guy. I can show you. See, here's him.
Oh, there's Geno. There he is.
There's Geno. I got to read the can. It's hilarious. This is local brewery first lager, a tribute to grandfather. So the cans covers actually the newspaper article written about the local, like the microbrewery's
That's cool.
first beer. So it says, Geno, as the family called him, was the firstborn son of Italian immigrants. He was the owner of the Mansfield Dairy Company and father to 3 sons. This beer reminds us of these hot days when Gramps would sneak a cold frosty one without Grandma catching him. Geno, our first ever lager, is crisp and refreshing, a simple beer for simpler times.
Aw.
So, yeah, they're in Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Oh.
And it is delicious. I got this as a joke beer, sort of, a while back for my father-in-law because sometimes we can call him, he's an Italian American, Geno.
Yeah.
And we ended up sharing it, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
It was
Awesome.
so good. And so I on another trip to the store, I got myself some. And
Nice. That's great. I love that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, would recommend. I don't know how wide their distribution is, but it's pretty great. Also, on a real-time update, just before we started recording this, Frank, I told you that I put a new collar on my cat that had a bell on it, and he is currently flipping out on my carpet, and it's hilarious.
Great.
Because he's trying to figure out where the bell sound is coming from, and it's coming from behind his neck. And he just...
Oh, man. Yes. So we got you may have seen this on Instagram, we got a leash for our cats.
Yes, I did see that.
To bring them outside, and we haven't ventured further than the front steps because they really don't like it. So we're trying to just get them used to a little further, and then maybe eventually we can take them for a walk or something. But they when we put the leash on them, like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the vest that goes with the leash. They always freak out, and one of them in particular tries to walk backwards, like if walking backwards is going to get him out of the harness. Like he can walk as if he could walk out of this thing that's strapped onto him. He's like, if I just keep walking backwards, and it's the funniest thing because he just walks backwards in a straight line as if he's gonna walk his way out of the harness. It's so funny. He's like not sure where it's coming from.
I have actually seen my own cat do that because I tried the harness thing early on when I got him, and he was not having it. But he actually did, like a little Houdini, figured out how to get out of it.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
Ours have gotten close, but they haven't gotten out of it yet. But that's, wow.
Yeah, the walking backwards thing is hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny.
They're just like, what is happening to me? I don't like this at all. Yeah, good stuff. Annoying cats is a true pastime.
Oh, yes. It's great. Hey, you got to do something to keep yourself occupied.
Oh, don't you just, though. Don't you just. Well, Frank, we're here to talk about some of the stuff that we've kind of our quarantine reads.
Yes.
Quaranreads.
Yes.
If you will. But mostly our comic book quarantine reads, because I've been personally grateful and lucky that I have been able to catch up on a lot of the books that I have not been able to find time to get to. Just would be being out and, commuting and all of this different stuff. And so I've been able to catch up. I went from over 300 graphic novels or individual issues to read down to right now, at the count of this episode, 35.
Whoa! That is seriously impressive, my friend.
It's some serious reading. I was 26 issues behind on Amazing Spider-Man.
Wow.
Just like over 2 years, just hadn't touched it. Like, couldn't get to it.
I mean, I know the feeling. I've definitely done it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely doing it right now with a bunch of books. I have not caught up on nearly as many as you have. That's amazing. I've caught up on a bit, and I know of at least 2 books that we've both read. So,
oh yes. Well, let's talk about those first. What are they?
Yeah. So for me, it has been Giant Days, which is an independent comic from Boombox
Studios.
Yeah. So that's been one that you turned me on to that years ago, and I have really enjoyed the hell out of that for the last couple of years. So in fact, you told me about it on this podcast. It was a recommendation.
Was it Hit Me With You? Was it Hit Me With Your Best Shot?
It might have been, or it might have just been like telling you about your favorite indie comics or something like that.
I think it was that. That sounds really familiar. Go ahead, keep going.
Because you also told me about another one at that same time that I still haven't picked up, Black Sad.
Black Sad, yeah. Noir with animals.
Yeah, and that's been on my list still ever since then. That was like, I was living in a different apartment back then, so it was years ago. But so Giant Days I've read, and then I read all of Superman Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So yeah, those are the 2 that I've had the chance to check out. But what have you been keeping yourself busy with?
Oh my gosh, so many. And then we'll go back to some of the ones the mutual ones that we've read together. But I can tell you everything that I've finally caught up on, because sometimes my wife and I are both like staring at the screens all day, as many people are, because we're working or else. But sometimes she'll be like, I can't anymore. Like, no, I can't do the TV tonight. I gotta see something. And I don't always feel that way, so I'm like, oh, this is a great opportunity. When my eyes don't hurt, I will read some comics.
Sure.
And so that's how I've been able to catch up on stuff. Nice. So I have fully caught up on Hawkman, the Robert Venditti stuff, which is super cool if you love sci-fi and comic book archaeology, I guess. Then this is kind of a good blend of those things. It's funny because it was actually kind of the story that I was told what the Savage Hawkman was going to be. I remember when New 52 came out, and they're like, we're doing a Hawkman series. It's going to be like the Da Vinci Code. But Hawkman, I was like, sign me up. I want to read that. And then that wasn't that at all. It was not true to their word or their description. Now it's kind of like that. It's like it's real good fun. And Brian Hitch does the first 12 issues, and so it's just a beautiful piece of comic book art. Even if you're not super big on Hawkman as a character, it's still a great read.
Right on.
What else did I read? I caught up completely on Peter J. Tomasi's run on Detective Comics, which I was also like 2 years behind on. I kind of like chose like, am I going to read Batman or Detective Comics? And I chose Batman because I love Tom King.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I went for that. But Tomasi's run is great. We've talked about him before. He is like the unsung hero of DC Comics.
He's got to be one of the most underappreciated writers at DC in the last, I don't know how long.
I don't know, but his work is consistently good. Yeah. No matter what book he's on, it's always good. It's like always on time, and his characterizations are like on his characterizations are on point. His Alfred Batman dynamic in Detective Comics was some of the best Alfred Batman stuff that you get. Sassy Alfred, sassy fatherly Alfred is the best Alfred.
I love it. I love sassy Alfred.
I do too. I read the 3rd volume of Batman in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
I'm a
oh,
glutton
you
for
did
those
tell
things.
we did mention this on a recent episode. You did mention that you'd read that. Yeah.
It was. It's a thing that happens.
It's a thing.
That I read. You know,
Okay.
it's fine. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. Completely caught up on Justice League Dark,
Nice.
which is also great. Freaking love Justice League Dark. I like a lot of those like offbeat characters. I love Man Bat ever since Batman the Animated Series. You know, it's the first episode. Swamp Thing, Detective Chimp. It's good fun.
Nice.
Read All of Young Justice because I love Bendis. It's not his strongest outing, but it's good.
Yeah.
Not his strongest outing, but it's okay. I completely caught up on Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer, as I said before, and honestly, it's fine. Like, and I love Spider-Man, but like it wasn't working for me. I actually think I dropped the book now. Like, I'm not going to get it anymore.
Really? Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, whatever.
Caught up on 2 years of it, and if you don't like the last 2 years of it, then like you're probably good.
Then I'm out. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah. I read The Rise of Kylo Ren by
yes,
Charles Soule.
Said that was great.
Yep, that was real. It was good to see like what happens immediately following the destruction of the Jedi Temple. That was cool. I read Kurt Busiek's book Batman: Creature of the Night, which is the same concept as Superman's Secret Identity, which I know you love.
Oh, I do love that.
Yeah, it's the same idea, but it's Batman. You know, like it's Bruce Wayne or whatever his name is, Wainwright in the book, I think it is.
Nice.
But get this, it's set in Boston.
Ooh.
I know, set in Boston, and it's panel accurate. So like before I knew it was set in Boston, they're like at a bunch of brownstones. I'm like, that kind of looks like Starro. That looks like Starro Drive.
And it was Starro Drive.
And then like a day later, and then like not a day, like a page later, it was like, oh, blah blah blah, Boston. And I was like, oh yes, that
Nailed
means
it.
you did your job well because I recognized that cityscape without you even telling me that it was that city. Like
Okay,
that's
awesome.
great.
I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, it's only
Right now.
3 issues, I think. So it was good. I might have liked Secret Identity a little more.
Okay.
Secret Identity, for those who don't know, is like this guy named Clark Kent, where Superman is a fictional character, but he one day wakes up with the powers of Superman and like the implications of that in like quote the real world.
It's so good.
Yeah. There was long delays between issues in Creature of the Night, so
I see.
it might read better collectively together. But I did enjoy it.
Looks like it's 4 issues, and I am gonna download them. And check them
Cool.
out. You had also mentioned like Star Wars Age of Resistance?
I'm getting there. I'm just going in
Okay.
order of my.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
My I'm going in order of my Goodreads account. If anybody feels like following along on my adventure.
What's your username there? I'll put the link to your account in the show notes.
Oh heavens above! Why do you ask such questions?
Unless you don't want me to. I mean, I don't have to.
No, I'd be more than happy to tell you. I honestly have no idea what my account name is. Tim?
There are some who
call
call
me Tim. I'm looking at. Hold
Are we
on,
friends
I'll
on
look it up
Goodreads?
right
I don't
now.
know. I haven't used Goodreads in a year.
I have no idea what my.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm getting there. Oh my god, it just tells me my name. All right, I'll find it later. You can put it in the show notes.
That's fine.
That's hilarious. I really had no idea. Gosh. What else have I completely caught up on Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run, which is some of it's really fun, some of it's just okay, but I love the Fantastic Four, so I'm going to keep going. I read Journey to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Allegiance. That was fine, unnecessary.
Okay.
I read Brian Michael Bendis' Batman Universe, which was the Walmart book. Read it.
Yeah?
You gotta read it. It's
right.
peak Bendis.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
And it's really not just Batman. When they say Batman Universe, he like literally goes throughout the universe. And
Okay, right on.
one episode, there's this character. Another episode of the comic, there's this character and this character. And it's more science fiction-y than you would think for being a Batman book.
Okay.
And so, but it's like good fun. Like I think at one point, like Green Lantern and Batman are on Dinosaur Island. Like that tells you pretty much everything you kind of need to know about the book.
Okay.
And Batman's just standing on top of like this mountain with his arms on his like contrapposto with his like arms like on his hips, and he's like, I love dinosaurs. And Hal Jordan's like, you do? He's like, of course, I have a giant T-Rex in my cave.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great.
I read Harleen by Stepan Sajic.
Oh.
It's that Black Label book. It's like a retelling of Harley's origin.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when I started it how I'd feel about it. By the end, I was like completely riveted. It was so good because it was really an origin for a lot of DC characters. It wasn't just like it's Harley and the Joker. It's it's Gordon and it's Two-Face and it's Joker and it's Batman and it's all these different combo pieces, but it's all told through Harley's perspective, and it's really pretty.
Nice.
I read Joker Killer Smile by Jeff Lemire, which was also very good. It was like Jeff Lemire's take on the Joker if the Joker was Hannibal Lecter.
Sure.
And the whole point of Lecter was to kind of make Clarice go crazy, if that makes sense. So that was good.
Sure.
I read Martian Manhunter Identity by Steve Orlando, which was good but not great. I wanted it to be better than I think I really wanted it to be better than it was. I read the first 2 volumes of Conan the Barbarian by Jason Aaron. That was
wow.
Also just okay. It got better as it went.
I've never read any Conan comics.
I honestly wouldn't recommend that as a starting place because if you don't know anything about Conan, it actually might be a little confusing.
Okay.
But if you do like savage stuff like that, like it could be fun. I read the first 2 volumes of Doctor Doom, which was great. If you love Doctor Doom and politics, it was really great. I did read Star Wars: Age of Resistance. I read the Heroes and Villains books. The Villains one was great. The Heroes one was not.
Okay.
Well, it was fine. I should say it was fine.
It was fine.
But you could tell they could only go so far with the heroes, but they were allowed to explore the villains more because the movies don't really explore the villains.
Okay.
And so so if you were going to read one, I'd pick villains.
Okay.
Let me see. I read The White Trees, which is a 3-issue mini about like these aged heroes who like are off to like, it was like basically if Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn teamed up again and they were old and did a thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely for adults. Don't give it to your children. I read Money Shot, which is also definitely for adults, which is about a team of scientists who like they start like a alien porn channel to fund their research because it's the only way that they can get to space. And so they're like, we'll go exploring, but we'll also do the dirty with aliens so we can continue to get money.
Wow.
And yeah, it was funny. I liked it more than I thought I would. It was recommended, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I read Man or Black, which was a book about magicians, which was just okay. And I read Sarah by Garth Ennis and Steve Epting, which is about, but you've seen ads for it. I saw your face.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
It's about Russian female snipers on the front in World War II.
Oh.
And it was awesome.
Okay.
It was so good. And it reads so fast. I read it in like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But if you like were into Captain America during the time of like Steve Epting's run on the character with oh gosh, who was on that run?
I don't remember the artist.
Hold on, talk. I have it right in front of me. Steve Epting is the artist.
I don't remember. I honestly don't
Brubaker, Ed Brubaker.
Oh, it was Brubaker?
If you like Ed Brubaker, if you like The Winter Soldier and like that era,
yeah,
read Sarah.
That era. Okay.
It was cool.
Okay. Well,
it was cool.
Adding that to my list.
Yeah, and then of course I read Giant Days. I finished up Giant Days, and I read Superman: Man of Tomorrow. So 20 minutes later, Frank.
Also, I think I said Man of Tomorrow, but I didn't mean Man of Tomorrow. I meant
Man of Tomorrow is you meant Up in the Sky.
I meant Up in the Sky, the Tom King one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Let's talk about that one first, since it's right on our lips, from mine to yours. What did you think?
I really liked a lot about this book. I really did. It's the quick summary of the book is that it's Superman fighting a bunch of different threats, intergalactic threats, because he's trying to save one girl who was kidnapped and brought to another world. And he's just jumping through all these hoops and fighting all these villains from his rogues gallery and other threats too, all to save this one girl's life. And it's really a beautiful story. I mean, just on the face of it, because it is Superman going through all this to save one life. Like he just no life is not precious to him. No one is not worth saving. And if he made a promise that he's going to save this kid, and this kid, like Superman is her ultimate hero, and he's just like, I am going to find her and save her, and you know, I'm going to do this come hell or high water, and he, you know, spoiler alert, he does. But it's really beautifully told, and Tom King has such a great like grasp on the character and like what makes him great, and what drives him and what motivates him. So I really enjoyed the book. There were things I didn't like as much, but like overall, I thought it was a really well told Superman story.
Yep, I agree. I think that because it's really more of like a vignette story, like
yes,
with
it
an
is.
overarching. It's almost like a 90s television show where it's like there's an overarching plot over here, but we're going to give you these episodic pieces in the middle, reaching to the final conclusion. Part of that, I think, is the like the Walmart format, where, you know, like they wanted people to pick up any issue and be able to follow along. If that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, the mass market aspect makes it so that every issue needs to be self-contained. I read it in one sitting, the whole thing.
Me too.
So
I did too,
which was a great experience.
My part about it is partly my favorite part about Superman is that it's just a never give up story.
Yeah,
you know, like I'm going to do everything I can for one person because that's the right thing to do.
That's right.
And you see it on a galactic scale, but it's also very humanizing at the same time. I think the most powerful issue is when Superman's trying to call home just to talk to Lois.
Yeah,
and he's just like, and he just can't get through. Which I thought the hilariousness of like this like galactic phone booth, basically.
Yes.
And he's just like trying to reach home, and you know, and she's not picking up, and so he's imagining all the terrible things that like could have happened to her because that's what he does. You know, like he does worry about her. Like he trusts her, but he worries, and it's not a lack of trust in Lois. It's more about like the world in which they live and the things that do happen. It's, you know, like when he's gone and like, or even when he's there.
It's anxiety about what could have happened to her, right? About like what things could have happened, and it is like anxiety in the truest sense. I recognize that kind of anxiety of like, oh, what if?
I did too. Right.
You know,
I did. It's a what if, like, oh, why didn't you, like, it's not a like clinger kind of anxiety. It's more like I'm in a deep, respectful like relationship.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, oh, like you always pick up at this time. You know, like you know, so why
happened to her?
What happened?
Right.
Because, you know, for 10 years you've always done this. Why in this like this 11th year is it different?
Yes.
You know, that's a deep relationship anxiety.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that from one issue.
Yes.
And then on top of that, it was like the art, Andy Kubert's art. And
he got to draw such fun stuff. Like he got to draw the Superman Flash race. He got to draw all these cool things, you know? Darkseid.
Yeah, the Muhammad Ali fight.
Muhammad Ali fight,
yeah. But even like in that issue with Lois, he like everything that you like, any version of like any DC catastrophe you can think of,
it's all
involving Lois. It was all there. Yeah, I just thought it was really, really pretty book. It's a book that I would definitely even just like sit and flip through. You know what I mean?
There were
like, just
so many splash pages that I was like, wow, that could be like my phone wallpaper, or that one, or that one, or that one. Like, yeah, the art is super beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
some of Andy Kubert's best, and he's always good.
He's always great,
always. Yeah. But this was some of his best. I really appreciated it. And then what about Giant Days? This book I turned you on to. For people who don't know it, again, it's from Boom Studios, and it is it's about these three girls, Daisy, Esther, and Susan, and it follows their freshman year in college in Britain to their senior year in college in Britain. And that's it. It's a 50 some odd issues, and it is one of the most delightful, funniest comics I've ever read in my entire life.
Yeah.
I recommend it to everybody.
It's a sitcom, but as a comic book. Like,
yes,
it is just a funny sitcom about these three young women going off to starting college, becoming friends, and then their whole college experience all the way through to graduation, and all the friendships and relationships that come along with it. But it's hilarious. It is so funny, and the characters are so specific and well defined that you feel like you get to know them just the same way you get to know, Sheldon and Penny, or like Lucy and Ricky, or like, who those sitcom characters are. Like, what Lucy would do in a situation, and what Esther would do in a situation from this book. Yep. Like, they're so, like, they feel so real to me.
I agree. And I think on top of that, it's not even just the three girls, not even just Susan, Esther, and Daisy, but you also know what every other secondary character would do.
I love McGraw.
Everybody is well defined. Yes,
McGraw is like the Ron Swanson of this.
The Ron Swanson. He's the Ron Swanson of this. I was going to say, like, if you enjoy like a Parks and Rec or 30 Rock, or like that, like Kimmy Schmidt, like that slightly absurdist comedy, but in comic book form.
Yeah.
And like, I guess, like, look no further.
That's a great comparison. 30 Rock or Parks and Rec, or any of those. Absolutely. Like, it is so funny and so fun, and yet it's the kind of thing where it's funny and you're laughing, but then there's also like touching moments, and like, oh no, what's going to happen? Are they going to get the thing that they want? Like whatever that thing is, even if it's just like asking the date to the
landlord
dance,
for a new floor, or
yes,
right,
yeah. All those sort of, in the end, it's like, are they going to get the careers that they want? Like, all those things become meaningful to you because you're invested in the characters. So it's great. It is really, really fun, and it is absurdist. You're right. That is one of the things that I love about it the most. It feels to me like the way I think about a lot of my friends, and like the sort of the inside jokes and things that we have, and the kind of humor that they have within each other, and the way they rib each other, kind of reminds me of the sort of playful ribbing that I do with my friends as well.
Yes, I agree. They just like you said, like any sitcom, like, what Chandler's going to say, or that Monica's going to say, or that like you said, Ricky Ricardo, or what Jerry Seinfeld is going to say, or what Kramer's going to say. It's like that.
Yeah,
it's so tangible all the time. But you also know what Newman is going to say, and the Soup Nazi is going to say.
Yeah,
and and it's like that. Like,
it's world building.
It's a complete world build, but in a way that you don't have to worry about what cosmic threat is coming upon to impede upon their lives, because their lives are in a lot of ways very real. And there is some like weird, like, like Daisy's archaeology, like, don't go into so and so's tomb, and it's like, are there vampires in this world? I don't know,
right?
And like,
right.
They say they are, but like, are you joking? I don't even know. Like, and that's where I think it's like 30 Rock, like, where it's just like, the world is not really like this.
Yeah, it's our world, but like 2 degrees askew. So like, there could be some things that are, you're like willing to believe that, like, maybe vampires are real or whatever. But it's very grounded in a lot of ways. And I also, as somebody who enjoys like a lot of like English British culture and things, because it is a British book, it takes place in Britain. There are a lot of little just like the spellings are that way, but also like they talk about going to get tea and what and scones and things like that.
Right, they're going to the pub and they have a cricket team, and like things like instead of a softball team.
Yeah,
just like the little twinges of like authentic culture, I think.
And I'll tell you what else. I have learned one valuable, useful tip, real life hack from this book. Because at one point McGraw, who's like the Ron Swanson character, says something to someone about they were having a trouble. He's truly like a Ron Swanson, where he like does woodworking and like builds things with his hands. And at one point someone comes to him needing to like fix their lock or whatever, and he says, oh well, if you take a pencil and rub it on the key, the graphite will lubricate it, and you can actually, it'll like if your key doesn't quite fit your lock, rub a pencil on it and it'll fit. And I tried it and it worked, and I fixed a lock that wasn't working by rubbing the graphite on the key, and the little like crumbs, the dust of graphite lubricates the lock enough that a key that didn't quite fit the lock anymore worked again.
Wow, that's so cool.
So real life hack that I read it and I was like, oh, I do have that lock that's not working, and I fixed it. It worked.
I freaking love that.
So thank you, McGraw.
Yeah, thank you, McGraw. Thank you. This is a book that I would like to revisit. There are some comics that you just like, you read and you're like, cool, I read it, the end. Just like a lot of movies. You see a movie and you're like, I don't need to see that again.
Yeah.
Some you're going to go back to. And this is definitely a series that I will go back to one day. It's almost like you got to flip on the sitcom, you got to flip on The Office to feel a little bit better about your day. Maybe you got to read some Giant Days to feel a little bit better about your day.
Agreed. And I will say it's also really good for binging. Like if you want to read like 5 issues, 10 issues at a time, it's great for that, because it's it's just so fun. And for me anyway, I get into a zone where I'm like, I want more. And I'm sad that it's over now. So the full series is 54 issues plus a couple of specials. And I guess they did do a special since the regular run ended.
Yes, they did. It's like a 1 year later jump, like where everybody is. Did you you didn't read that one yet?
I did. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I guess I don't know. I got this sense that maybe they're gonna do. I don't know if they're gonna do more of those. I don't know. It'd be cool if they did like once a year, sort of checking in with them where they are. But it's like 55, 56 issues when you all in. And it's just a delight. So I would highly recommend it for just about anybody listening to this. Really, I think anybody can find something to relate to in this book. But it was a great recommendation from you, so thank you for that. I immensely enjoyed it.
I did as well. Well, you're very welcome. And Frank, I think this actually takes us to the end of the episode.
Think so?
Which is very exciting. Where can all the people find us and stuff?
BeerWithGeeks.com is the most logical place. You could email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. You could tweet at us at beerwithgeeks. You could, of course, find the whole network at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. And that's where this show and many other shows are also available for your listening pleasure. If you've got a couple bucks to spare, these are obviously trying times, so not everyone does, but if you do, you want to throw $1 or $2 our way, $1 a month goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. So you can do that at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio, or if you don't have a buck or two to spare right now, you could head on over to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify or Overcast, anywhere you find your podcasts, and leave us a rating or review in your podcast app of choice, because that helps us a lot and helps us get discovered. So if that's something you can do to help us, if you enjoy the show and want to give us a little bit of support, that's a great way to do it. An Apple Podcast review is worth its weight in gold. So thank you all for listening. We love you all. We want to hear what you've been doing while you're in quarantine. What have you been reading? What have you been watching? We'd love to hear from you at Beer with Geeks on Twitter or beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Frank, this has been lovely, and I'm going to toast you.
All right.
And say
cheers.